This video will cover one of the most divisive topics in the XRP community, specifically whether or not the entire Ripple SEC case was manufactured. Guys, in this video, I'll go over some of the reasons why many highly bright members of the XRP community concluded that the entire legal dispute was a ruse to define the cryptocurrency. But I also want to provide you guys the alternative perspective and outline the specific explanations for why it might not have been fabricated. And what's happening in this situation right now might show that this wasn't a staged incident. In this video, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to talk about a few different situations to help you comprehend what is going on. Welcome to XRP Insider. We provide the latest news of XRP Ripple. To stay updated with exciting news, please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. To know more, please watch till the end. Let you all hear both sides of the story so you may make your own decisions. At the conclusion of this video, I also want to show you a really interesting Interledger release. Be sure to watch the entire video to learn how Interledger is attempting to make XRP the de facto standard for payments in our financial system. You won't want to miss it. Like always, your support is greatly appreciated by this channel. Please click the bell notification switch, subscribe button, and like button below if you want to watch more videos like this one. These three simple measures will significantly impact the development of this channel. There is a lot of discussion in the XRP community about whether or not the entire case was staged, so many people will find this to be quite fascinating. Therefore, allow me to briefly explain why many people in the community do think that this case was staged. The fact that multiple SEC workers met and discussed XRP before the complaint was dismissed, claiming that XRP was not a security, is one of the key elements that leads people to reach this conclusion. That SEC representatives are informing the public that different payment tokens like XRP are not securities is alarming. The SEC subsequently makes a complete U-turn and pursues the very kind of token that it had previously said was not a security. This is an intriguing development since it demonstrates that SEC officials were aware that payment tokens, of which XRP is one, are not securities. The SEC is aware that XRP is not a security, and I think they understand this, which I think helps to show that they are not completely incompetent. In spite of this, the SEC still made the decision to initiate this case. When debating if this case was fabricated, when there were so many different tokens available that more closely resembled securities, it's also very interesting to note that before the Ripple SEC case became public, many people in the cryptocurrency community, especially those working in the regulatory field, were discussing the possibility of bringing legal action against Ripple. I find it really intriguing that Ripple was receiving so much attention, considering that the SEC brought this action against Ripple. You have to question why the SEC would want to do this now that you've given it some thought. After all, if their main purpose was to destroy cryptocurrencies and bring them all under their control, why would they target the lone competitor in the market with access to self-defense? They emphasized multiple times that payment tokens are not securities and that they would have no motivation to pursue a token that the SEC had already determined wasn't a security. Additionally, XRP's position as a payment token had already been confirmed by the SEC. The SEC is now unable to proceed with this action because they lack supporting evidence. Despite the fact that several of these indicators suggest that the SEC was aware that XRP was not a security and that Ripple would be able to disprove any claim to the contrary, combining all of these elements and taking a closer look at the diverse group of directors for Ripple, which includes several SEC officials, you will discover that 3 years were spent looking at Ripple. Many various attorneys who were keeping track of this case were shocked to learn that the SEC offered absolutely little proof to back up its assertion that XRP is a security. Many people ponder if it actually makes sense for the SEC to have entered this lawsuit with the expectation of winning because of this. Given all we just talked about, the answer to that question will likely be unfavorable. Many claim that the SEC was never truly intended to win. If the SEC was never supposed to win this case, what was the point of pursuing it? However, the same people consistently asserted that the purpose of filing this case was to create regulatory clarity. Congress is failing in its responsibilities and refusing to provide clarification on digital assets. As a result, going ahead, the only way to establish rules for digital assets will be through the courts. What qualifies as a security and what does not must be defined legally by courts. This can only happen if there is a precedent-setting case. In this scenario, the triple sec litigation would be the seminal case, setting the standards for how cryptocurrencies will be used in the US moving forward. Sincerity dictates that this circumstance satisfies this definition exactly. Exactly. What we are seeing right now is this. And to be perfectly honest, I think that if the case moves into summary judgment, this conclusion would actually be rather likely. And if we get a good analysis of what makes XRP less blameworthy after having said all of that, I want to talk about a few things that I think are important to consider while making the opposite case. These arguments strongly refute the case being staged because none of these businesses could possibly have intended to waste thus much resources in the first place. Because it's expensive for both sides to fight this case. As we already know, Ripple's probably spent more than $100 million on attorneys. And the SEC has undoubtedly spent a lot of money as well. For them, this case would have made much more sense. If it had been false, the SEC wouldn't be putting everything off at every opportunity they could get. It's also important to note that Ripple has openly insulted SEC officials throughout this inquiry. Now, some would claim that everything has been planned. But to be very honest, nobody saw Ripple criticizing these SEC officials coming. When you're involved in a case, you typically keep very quiet and avoid talking about anything that's going on. As a result, Ripple works hard to criticize individuals. And in my view, this merely disproves the theory that Ripple and the SEC are working together. Now, I think another thing we should consider when saying that this case was staged is the fact that the SEC is suffering greatly because of this case. You have already seen major news organizations criticize the SEC and even expose serious conflicts of interest occurring at the agency. The Verbal and the SEC actually worked together on this case to bring clarity to the market. Therefore, it is illogical that the SEC would not be involved. According to the SEC, that wouldn't make sense. Simply put, given what I've said, I think it's very clear that there are valid points of contention on both sides of this issue. And I believe that the most important thing we'll need to keep an eye on is the final judgment, which will establish whether or not this case was staged. If this lawsuit does in fact settle, the SEC will try to conceal a lot of facts. It won't also make other tokens easier to understand. This would unquestionably suggest that this circumstance was natural rather than artificial. Additionally, the SEC recently pushed hard by going after Ripple, but the SEC ticket wouldn't persevere for any reason other than the fact that they're going to lose a lot and get their behinds kicked. Maybe it was days, then. Instead, from this point on, they will just keep getting into more difficulty for themselves. It simply doesn't make sense for the SEC to pursue this issue given the facts unless they were given specific instructions to do so by a higher-up agency. And in our government, incidents of that nature routinely occur. So, guys, I think all we need to do is keep a close check on what occurs in the future to see if it might have an impact on how this matter is settled. Because I don't think it's possible to say for sure which of these events actually happened until then. Regardless, I still think it's rather fascinating. And it's something I've given a lot of consideration to. I guess I'll close this video with showing you guys an intriguing video from Interledger, one of the most exciting initiatives that intends to promote widespread usage of the XRP ledger but isn't getting much attention. Interledger is a project that strives to promote the use of the XRP ledger. This video clip will hopefully help you better understand what Interledger is, what they're trying to do, and how useful it might be for increasing XRP ledger adoption. Pay close attention to how quickly current technology develops. The Interledger protocol was created to make moving money over the internet simpler, so why has our financial system been unable to keep up with change? We created a network of worldwide payments that connects all of today's users. When we press the send button on an email, we anticipate that it will arrive in the recipient's inbox almost instantly, regardless of the email provider you choose to send. It is flawless and completes in a matter of seconds rather than days. To make sending money as straightforward as sending an email, the Interledger protocol was developed. It is a more open network that doesn't impose hefty transfer fees or minimum transaction amounts. And it shows that everyone can access the large world in which we live, regardless of identity, geography, or financial standing. The antiquated closed networks are the reason of people being separated. Our objective is to update our financial system and give everyone unrestricted access to a global financial network. Send an email to your digital bank or wallet provider asking them to join us in connecting the world further. Guys, if you're concerned that something like XRP will be replaced by this, I thought the video did a great job of highlighting the importance of Interledger. In the end, the fastest and most effective network will handle the majority of the payments, and Interledger is just going to make it function more effectively. With so many distinct blockchains available, a protocol will be required to make them all compatible and establish a seamless network of value. Anyway, I genuinely appreciate you being here, fellas. I sincerely hope you enjoyed this update. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you did. They are crucial at this time. We would like to make it clear that this is not a platform designed expressly to offer financial advice, and we are not requesting that you invest in any particular business. This is just a route used to deliver instructional material to your door. See you again soon on XRP Insider, the leading source for cryptocurrency news.